Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever episode of Street Geeks. I'm your man, John Jay, and with me is my dog, Stu. What's going on, Stu?
Not much, man. Happy to be here.
Yes,
Ready to
sir,
get
man.
into the topic.
Yes, sir. Happy to have you. And ladies and gentlemen, what this show is, I know it's the first time, and I appreciate you for tuning in. But this is your water cooler nerd talk. You know, we with this show we gonna get into your Star Wars, your Marvel shows, your DC, and whatever else your heart desires. If we know about it, we gonna get into it. And right now, the talk of the town is this new Ahsoka show for Star Wars. And man, Stu, episode 4 was amazing. Star Wars is back. You got that real Star Wars story feeling. And ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're a fan of Star Wars, like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about this show, and get down in the comments. Call us out on it. But Stu, man, first off, what did you think about this episode, man?
Okay, amazing. Just completely out of this world, out of this galaxy, really, quite literally and metaphorically.
I see what you did there.
Uh, yeah, it's a whole nother world, as
Yeah,
some would know.
yeah, yeah.
But no, this is the episode that for all those who don't know it so far, spoiler alerts are coming in
Yes,
just right
spoiler
now.
alert.
But so like everybody everybody's gonna love it, I think. It's gonna be harder for some of the people who haven't seen the animated shows, which help give great context and background to a lot of it, so you know what's going on entirely. But the first two episodes, are slow going, but they keep you in there until you hit the third episode, and the third episode is when I guess everybody's doing the safety check, keep all hands and arms and legs in the vehicle at all times. And the fourth episode is them setting you off, and now we are at the crest of the roller coaster, and it's about to start dropping into the ride.
Yeah, you already had the ding, 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 ding.
Oh,
Stomach is
yeah.
dropping now. Um,
Yep.
I like what
Fourth episode has
I
you
like
locked
what you
in.
did there. So did episode 4 leave you with any questions, and or did it give you more questions? Because I definitely got some.
It definitely answered several. With what I know about Star Wars, I was pretty much left with two, and those two would be, so how did she get to the world between worlds? But I feel like we may not get an explanation on that because if we think about it, and if we have seen it before, for those of y'all who have, you got to imagine it as like a portal that just literally opens up out of nowhere right next to you, and you're pulled in. So there's not going to be probably a real good explanation to that, but that's not the question I was left with. The question I was left with is she really talking to her old master, Anakin Skywalker? Because we heard the Vader theme come in real smooth and then real loud to
Yeah.
emphasize right then and there. And they wouldn't have played that unless something else was going on. Because when it's Anakin or somebody good showing up, usually there's a melodic tune, and there would maybe have been the Force theme, like that would have been better if it was good music.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what left me questioning: is this really Anakin, or as some people like to think, or I'm starting to kind of suspect, or is it the Son, the embodiment and manifestation of the dark side? And we know that he's a bit of like a Loki. He's a trickster. He can shapeshift. If y'all
Yeah.
watch Marvel, Loki, tricky, he can turn into people. Well, the Son, in a way, can has that same ability, but by no means is he a trickster.
And when you say the sun, you talking Mortis gods, right?
Exactly, the Son.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I pretty much same thing for me though, man. As far as my questions, it was one was how did she get there, or did she did she die? And two, Anakin, was he a memory? Was he a Force ghost? Or something else? So
Well,
I'm right
I
along
mean,
with you. This.
that's the other side of it. It can really be him, and if he is a Force ghost, wouldn't he be glowing? Is one thing people are suspicious of, and which would make a lot of sense. But at the same time, when you become part of what is called the cosmic force, and you become a Force ghost, which is the only true version of immortality in Star Wars that is known of, um, there's no real limitation of where you can and can't go. But the second question out of the two I was left with is, all right, Ahsoka is there now. Sabine's gone. She's now super ride all the way to a whole nother galaxy far, far away. And now, like Ahsoka, people are assuming, oh, she's got the map, burned in her hand, and that's what she'll use to get there. It's like, okay, hold on. She's got a map, but it's no good to you if you got no ride. Because if you could get there with any other ship, then what was the need for the whole hyperspace ring with, six
The Eye of
super Star
Sinai.
Destroyer hyperdrives? So my thing is, I think what's going to happen is the Purgle being there when they're being attacked was no coincidence. And we know the Purgle are whales, and whales like to migrate. So I'm thinking that a lot of the Purgles, when they make their migration or journey, this planet seems to be like the last stop. It's like, okay, kids, get out, use the bathroom while you can because we're locked in for the ride for the next like 8 hours, like Dad used to say. And that's my thing. I think she's going to communicate with the Purgle whales. And if the map is like inscribed on her hand now permanently, she could be like, can you take us here? And like communicate with them, and they might like grab her ship and take it, kind of like how Thrawn's and Ezra's was taken at the end of Rebels, and that's how they got there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see Hu Yang wouldn't. He would have a very bad feeling about this. I don't know. His nuts and bolts might be in a twist, in a bind.
Oh, man, no kidding.
But yeah, I dig it. Okay,
Oh, he's
so
got those extra arms. He'll figure it out. He'll get out of that bind.
them extra arms just gonna be flailing in the back. Help! Help! Help!
It's gonna pop
uh,
up and grab his head like, oh no.
so speaking of Hu Yang,
Hmm.
um, I don't know if you remember, I don't know, 10 years or so, there was a movie called Real Steel, and they had these boxing robots.
I know it.
Bing, 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 or back in the day, my childhood. I mean, you might be a little young
Doof,
for it, but we
doof,
had the
come
Rock'em Sock'em
on.
robots with the straight punches.
Oh
Who
yeah.
Yang? Who Yang had a nice little bout with with an assassin droid, and he pieced him up for a little while before he, help, help, his moment. What did you think about that fight, the robot battle?
I thought that was I think that was a pretty good fight considering that he is like ancient because he is like 1,000 years old.
Yeah,
And his job in the Jedi Order was he was always on a ship that was assigned to escort and take younglings to go and collect their lightsaber crystals. So he has a good knowledge of the Jedi, and he was also programmed by the Jedi. And thing is that like yeah, I think he held his own quite well against like a pretty modern and brand new assassin droid. So like, remember he also fought Hondo and his crew before, and he
Hondo,
held up for yeah.
my dog.
Oh, you think we're gonna see Hondo?
I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. That's definitely a question I had for later, but we could get into that now. Um, Hondo is probably one of my favorite characters for a non-force user. Hondo is hilarious. That's my dog, man. I hope we see him. I'm praying for it. Him and Zeb, man. Where's Zeb,
Yeah.
man? We got a little snippet of him in Mandalorian season 3, and he looked good. The CG looked great. I'm sure it's probably pricey though to put him out there, so maybe they saved them for the movies. Um,
Yeah.
But
That's cool.
you know what else I want to see, and I hope, I really hope, almost as much as I want to see Hondo, I want to see some Loth Wolves, man. I want
Really?
to see some Loth Wolves. Yeah, I hope we make it back to Lothal. Lothal. I really liked the cinematography. The live action version of Lothal was beautiful. I was feeling that. The highway
Oh, this
almost reminded me of the Salt Planet that we saw. That
the
was the one good thing about the sequel.
see
But
that was a beautiful thing they did there because they're using
yeah,
original sketches when Star Wars before it even got on screen or filmed. It was all drawn up by a guy named Sam or Seth McQuarrie, and the skyline the of Lothal. All that is original stuff that we never got to see, which is why it looks so advanced and clean and sharp. So that's
yeah,
really cool that Dave
I agree.
Filoni is pulling out some of the old archives, dusting it off, like
Yeah,
putting it up. He's like, I want y'all to make that. I want y'all to make that with the.
yeah, yeah. That, in my opinion, that was dope. I feel like you have to have. I mean, there's some stuff in there if you haven't watched Rebels, but to really understand, it, you have to have watched Rebels to really feel this. Just stuff like to see Lothal live action. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, the wolves. I really want to see the Loth wolves. I thought they were cool in the series. What you think?
I would very much like to see them. They would. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, it'd be really cool to see a giant wolf, like one that you're capable of riding
Yeah, make
on
them like
live
yeah. We
action.
saw the Game of Thrones. We saw the dire wolf was ginormous. We
Yeah,
can go a little bit bigger for the Loth wolves though. Let's
but
do it.
if we saw them though, I have to say, if they're going to show up at any time in Ahsoka, I think they're going to have to be in the world between worlds because they're Loth wolves, so they're confined to Lothal. And the world between worlds, it can be used, I guess, as a transportation device, but that's not its intended purpose in the means of conventional travel. It only takes you to events of when they happen. So if a Loth wolf is like going to go to like Coruscant or Tatooine, it would have to do so through the world between worlds, but it would be probably coming out in a time of maybe when Luke leaves with Han and Obi-Wan on their journey. So it would be like 25 years in the past.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that we get them in Lothal. Hope the series makes its way back. I question whether or not it does. I'm not expecting it to, but I'm hopeful. I want to see Lothal again. We spent 4 seasons watching Lothal, and I need more than 4 minutes in the live action version. Sue me.
But yeah,
No,
look,
don't sue me.
well, Lothal is a very unique place, very beautiful and strong in the Force, evidently, seeing as all the events that transpire around it,
Yeah,
which, like, like Ahsoka pointed out in the show, is something that I think is a key thing. A lot of people need to remember if they want to carry on in the show and not be surprised and want to see if they can predict things. Get your inner detective out. The Force resides in all living things. Like the reason Hondo is such a successful pirate is what a lot of people would drum it up to like skill or luck. But I think what it is that he's one of those beings that is more significant in the galaxy because the Force is a little bit stronger in him than the average, person out there, which is why like Han Solo is so lucky too. Like when he's always mentioning, I got a bad feeling about this. That's the calling card right there to let you know that like, okay, somebody's a little bit more sensitive to the Force than the average person. They may not be able to use it, but that instinct and luck in Star Wars is the Force working.
nice, noise. Um, so let's go back to the after the Hu Yang fight, the robot duke him up,
Yeah.
slobber knocker. Hu Yang, he told Ahsoka and Sabine, first thing he said was stick together. What did they do? They split up. uh,
Yep.
right out the gate.
Yep.
Um, do you
It seemed like
foresee
it
them
was a
coming back
tactic.
together? Will that relationship get repaired in your opinion?
Yes, I believe it has to. Um, it's just that like what how fun would it be if they just like got over all this stuff right then and there and started working together? There has to be turmoil in there. There has to be lessons taught. This is always something that like has happened when there's been a master and apprentice. There's always going to be headbutting and difficulty of having compatibility. See, the thing I noticed is that like that's not where they split up and made the mistake. It was when it happened the second time. And that second time is when Sabine made her decision to leave Ahsoka. That's where they split up. Because at
If you
that point,
notice,
that was a tactical decision.
yeah, absolutely. And with that fight too, one thing I noticed after my many rewatches because it was a dope episode, but both of them reacted negatively after they thought the other one died. Did you notice after when Ahsoka was fighting Balin and saw Shin Hati run up, she immediately was like, Sabine. She started getting extra aggressive and fighting angrily with Balin until she
Yep.
saw her back alive again. And same thing with Sabine. She saw Ahsoka go over the cliff.
And
I
she
got
lost it.
nobody left but Ezra. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. Which is exactly why she probably made her decision. She's got nobody left but Ezra now.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing that like the master and the apprentice are both making mistakes, and that they have some fallacies. Like we saw that Ahsoka kind of unbalanced herself when she saw Hati show up, and she lost her upper hand
Yeah.
on Balin. Not to mention she was fighting with one saber. If she had both out, Balin would have been done. But she was keeping that other hand free so she could grab the map.
Yeah. Absolutely. And speaking of Balin, I know we jumping all over the place. I apologize. We out of order, but you know what? It's just so good. It's so much to talk about. But speaking of Balin, man, first off, R.I.P. Ray Stevenson, man. We lost a great one. For those of you all that don't know, Ray Stevenson, the guy that's playing Balin Skull, passed away. So we will not get more of him going forward. I do not know if um, his character is supposed to make it through the season or not. I'm torn about that. I was thinking about that, Stu, and I'm torn because it's such a great character. I want to see more of Balin Skull,
Yeah,
but we know that it can't be Ray Stevenson, so I don't know that anybody else can live up to the performance that he's given for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm torn.
well, we're gonna have to just be patient and find out. They got Hayden Christensen back, but as we've seen, that they kind of de-aged him a little bit,
Yeah, but he's
and
still alive.
yeah,
He was there for
and
that.
the guy that played Grand Admiral Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin, sorry, wasn't alive for Rogue One, and they
True.
deep faked him and had him in there. Mark Hamill, they didn't use Mark Hamill for the first deep fake of him in season 2 of The Mandalorian. So I'm thinking if they really wanted to, and if his story is not done, I believe that's what they will do. Um,
But that would
but yeah,
mean that they would have to quick exit him, though. The one thing that those performances have in common is they're not a whole lot of movement when they're on camera, and they're not a whole lot of speaking lines because they're piecing together pre-recorded stuff. So they're quick exits, you know. And the thing about Ray
well,
Stevenson
he
is
could.
regal on that screen, man.
Oh, he
With that
is.
lightsaber up, it's a strong
He's a
character.
beautiful man to behold, for sure.
It's a strong character, man. I'm a fan. I dig it.
I always been a fan of his all of his roles in movies. I loved him most as like Titus Pullo from Rome. Any movie he's been in, I now when I look back before he passed, I was like, the reason I liked a lot of those movies was because Ray Stevenson was in it in particular. He's a great actor, and funny enough, like it really suited him in this time, because like a lot of the movies he's been in that I remember him from and shows, there was always swordplay.
Yeah, but he was
So
more.
like,
It was a lot of. It was just like character type stuff. Like he had the Thor, the role in Thor.
mhm.
I forget the character's name. Don't at me.
One of his little merry band.
Yeah, but this is one of the times he really got a chance to shine. You know, this was the role of a lifetime for him, and I hate to see it. You know, hate to not see him in it.
Yeah,
Um, but that's what happens. But R.I.P. to him. This is a masterful performance. He is infamous now. He is um, legendary.
he's
He will live
immortalized.
forever, immortalized. That my cup got me forgetting what I was gonna say.
Well, as for the like deep fake thing, and you have a really good point there with the battles are going to be all janky. That's the case because usually you have to have them hold them still. Well,
Yeah,
he also wears a hood a lot. So what if he gets surprise ambushed by like Ahsoka and that, and he fights with his hood on? That's one good way.
yeah. I'll
And then the
never
more,
say never. I'll take what I can get. But yeah, it's a great character. I'm a big fan of the of him. So shout out to Dave Filoni and everybody behind this. This is masterful work. I'm a big fan. Um, but Balin's apprentice, Shin Hati. I'm a fan of
hmm
Shin Hati, man. She got, I told you when we were talking one on one, I like flawed characters, and she got some badassery about her. Her
oh
one
yeah,
liners. I'm a big fan of the one liners when Sabine and Ahsoka were running through the forest and ran into her and Marut, and she's going somewhere, or the you have no power. Like I love her one liners. She's a badass, man. I'm feeling Shin Hati.
I'm feeling her too, man. And you put it really good. I think a lot of people inherently really like flawed characters because they make them very relatable. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, especially with her, like see how young she is. Like I think she's probably the same age as maybe Sabine. So she's got to be like in her very early 20s or at least 20. So with that being mentioned, was she found by Balin after the Jedi Order had already been destroyed?
that's a
Because
good
that's what I'm
question.
thinking that's happened. And she had a very broken and faithless master, as we could tell. Like he said, faith. I lost that a long time ago. So like
Yeah,
she's that the
because she
reason
was
she's the way
raised
she
in darkness.
exactly. Or she was I would say she learned how to had to embrace darkness and to survive, to learn to survive. Because
Yeah,
a lot of Jedi didn't remain Jedi even if they survived. A lot of them ended up going to the dark side or just losing faith altogether.
you can almost imagine, and see now that these characters are here, they do. Dave Filoni does a great job of launching new characters to make you want some spinoffs or something. Like now that we've got them, you kind of wonder. You can imagine if their start, the apprenticeship, is going right alongside of Ezra and Kanan, in Rebels, because Ezra is probably around that age too.
Yeah,
I can imagine maybe that timeline of them coming up the dark way and Ezra and Kanan coming up in the light. It's an interesting timeline, man. I'd like to see a little cartoon, little shorts or something about that, about the path that they took. I told you yesterday
yeah.
I want to see me a Sith show, man. I need that.
Oh, Tales of the Sith. So it
Yeah,
counters
let's
the
do it.
Tales of the
That's a
Jedi.
perfect Tales of the Sith show right there.
Or like something like Tales of the Jedi and the Legacy of the Sith.
Yeah.
That'd be
Although
interesting.
our I guess I can't really say they're not technically Sith, right? They're just dark. They use the dark
They
side, but
terms can be thrown out like fallen Jedi, dark Jedi.
Yeah.
At this point, I really wouldn't know what to call them. I really don't like it, but people out there enjoy it. But it's a good term. Gray Jedi. Gray Jedi is like what Ahsoka was thought to be.
Don't let Freddie Prince
I
Jr. hear you say that. Did you hear him his rant? He flipped out. There are no gray Jedi. There's not a thing. I like the term dark Jedi.
Dark Jedi is much better. Dark Jedi is like Asajj Ventress. People who
Someone else I love to see live action.
yeah, unfortunately, some other people aren't gonna like this, but Kylo Ren was technically a Dark Jedi the whole way through. He never became a Sith. He couldn't. He just could not give himself fully over to the dark side. That was his struggle.
He had a lot of turmoil.
Whereas people get pulled to the dark, he keeps getting pulled back to the light because it's just like he wants to be bad, but he inside of him he just can't fully do it. Which is
Yeah.
the thing about like Han. When Han died, I don't think it was Kylo that did it. I think it was Han that did it for him because Han knew that if Kylo had killed him, his path to the dark side would be complete. Han took his own life in order to save his son. That's why even when he was about to like shoot his missiles at his mom in the Last Jedi, he didn't pull it off. It was his two wingmen that fired it and then broke off and tried to kill his mother.
Yeah.
All the hesitancy. So
Yeah.
Dark Jedi, Fallen Jedi, or I don't even know what you would call him now.
Yeah.
You could say
Hit us in the
or
comments. What do y'all call them? Let us know. That's our question to you. But okay. So I'm gonna take a second real quick. This is the time I give everybody a chance to roast JJ. You know, talk your trash about JJ. So yesterday, me and my dog Stu, man, we filmed an episode. This same episode one, but JJ had the sound off. But yesterday, you you gave some really great answers on this, and I want to bring it back up um, again. Um, all right, y'all done with the trash talk? I ain't gonna take no more. but but the Maruk, the death scene with him and Ahsoka.
Marat.
It reminded me when I first saw it. It was kind of like a nod to the Tales of the Jedi episode of Ahsoka when she killed the Inquisitor. But
Hmm.
you also had some really good points about what that could be. You want to speak on it again?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. You want me to start with Tales of the Jedi?
Both,
So,
either however you feel led, my brother.
okay, we'll start with the easiest one, the most fresh thing. Marat. When he died, after watching the episode again, after our last stream when you forgot to record
My
your voice,
snafu,
but
my
here's the
flub
thing.
up, my flub up.
After watching it again, I noticed that time that you could hear screams in the cloud that was leaving, and that there was green cloud and everything. So undoubtedly, without a question, it was Night Sister magic that was holding him together. And who was that guy? We don't know. It could have been the possession of a dead body of an Inquisitor that had died before. And if you know the Night Sisters, you can see it from the Clone Wars animation show. They have a tendency to raise the dead and
Yeah,
use
and you
them
did
as
see
like
the you saw the green in the smoke if you paid close enough attention.
so like that one. So that was definitely Night Sister magic. But when you mentioned in Tales of the Jedi when Ahsoka fought that first Inquisitor with that kind of like raven looking mask,
Yeah,
um, he died very differently. No smoke, and you're like,
no
is this the
smoke. He
same
just
thing?
kind of disappeared. But yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. No smoke.
he kind of just like Force Ghost like Obi-Wan just collapsed into clothing. But to answer that, I would say that's Sith alchemy. Sith alchemy is like Night Sister magic, but a little bit different. The Sith, they're all about power and living forever, controlling everything, domination. But a lot of Sith, powerful Sith lords you have existed thousands of years before, to hundreds of years, even closer. When they got so powerful and did so well, they have a tendency to project and imbue their consciousness into an object. And when said object gets interacted with somebody who is, well, not aware of what the object is, force possession happens. And I think it's very possible that he was he was the spirit of a Sith Lord or a Sith from old times, used as like an agent and a hound dog to help fill the ranks of the Inquisitorium. Because if you want to know more about it, if you look in the Vader comics, I can't remember which one, but check out Star Wars Theory. I know he's got a video on it, and he's got a great explanation.
Big fan of Star Wars Theory.
Oh, huge. Vader was told by Sidious in his, like, pretty much his, like, first year as being a Dark Lord of the Sith. He was like, hey, you need to focus on collecting your hate and everything, but you also need a place to go back to and then meditate and reflect on the lessons that I'm teaching you. Go somewhere where your connection to the dark side was made. And he was like, okay, well, that's Mustafar. And then he also gave him a helmet, like this weird Sith-looking helmet from one of the many trinkets of power that Palpatine has collected over time. And he gave it to him. So when Vader was looking at it and examining it, when he interacted with it, the Sith Lord inside of it, and I can't remember his name, tried to take over Vader. Fortunately, Vader's very powerful and was able to fight it off. But he was intrigued by it because his master gave it to him for a reason. So he then put the helmet on a poor Mustafarian miner, and it possessed him. And then he was able to communicate with the Dark Lord at that time, and he's known as like a great architect. He could create mega buildings and starcraft and monolithic things. And Vader's like, build me a castle. It's like, okay. And then over time, when he's starting to learn and probe him for like answers and more knowledge of the dark side, he mentioned offhand, like, I was working on making a great machine that requires harvesting an entire world's energy. So that way I could bring people or whoever I want or myself back from the dead so I can never die. Vader's like, is this power possible to learn? Not for the Jedi. But that's my
Jedi.
That's my Palpatine reference. But so Vader learns that, and like where that whole thing is. So like it's kind of a lot like that. If you read that, you would understand why that guy from Tales of the Jedi doesn't die or seem the same as the Night Sister Magic Mark guy that we saw destroyed by Ahsoka.
Okay, so with the explanation that you gave, especially with the Sith alchemy, I'm gonna ask what the people what I'm sure they're asking when they heard this. What are the chances that dead soul could be Maul?
Slim, very, very slim. I don't think it's Maul. In the end, I think Maul, even though he's Sith, like Maul was Sith.
He was originally.
Oh no, he is Sith, like for sure, all the way through. He was
Sith. He was pure dark.
Yeah, he was a Sith all the way through. But when he was brought down by Obi-Wan and everything, he, in the end, I felt like found peace and had moved into becoming part of the cosmic force. Not immortal, no force ghost, unless he has
other Sith.
Yeah, well, he always saw them as flawed and weak because of a lot of things. It's like Maul was like the perfect student of the Sith, whereas like the Emperor, and like the Emperor is like the perfect embodiment of the Sith. Like problem with Maul is he had a big flaw. He could never be as great as Palpatine in that way and be a proper successor because the power came to him easily, and it was and hating was easy, but it consumed him. It consumed him completely. He couldn't come up with great master plans like Palpatine did. He was like he's a dog, you know, like he just hyper focuses on one thing, and that happened to be Obi-Wan. But with time and age, he worked it out. He came up with greater plans, and you know, I will give it this: if you want Maul to come back, the only way it's going to happen is from the prior I explained. Maybe somebody comes along his stuff and they find one of his holocrons. Maybe he poured a lot of force, energy, and consciousness into an object, and then maybe you could commune with him as a ghost, but it doesn't mean that they're always powerful enough to possess. Like, normally they have to be someone powerful as, like, the Emperor, or some of the other Sith Lords, like, people may have heard of, like, Revan, or Marco Ragnos, or Exar Kun, and Darth Bane. Like, we all saw Yoda in season 7 of Clone Wars go and talk to Darth Bane. That wasn't a hallucination. That's the exact kind of stuff I'm talking about there. And if it wasn't Yoda, he would have possessed him and took him over, which is why Korriban has always been quarantined. Nobody goes there. And it's a big no-no to go there.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are learning something from my dog's story right here, please drop a like. My dog dropping gems right here. Drop a like, please.
I hope I'm answering them well enough. I could be a little long-winded in my answers.
Well, hit us in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all want more or less. You know, you say. But okay, one observation that I made.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah. This is an interesting one, and I don't. You might not see it coming. This is about Hera. I like Hera. Okay. I'm a fan of Hera. Yeah. I dig Hera. Hera bossed up this episode. She bossed up. She ignored the order. I'm finna go ride for my dogs. I'm finna go pick up my people. They need my help. They need our help, but y'all tripping. I'm going anyway, basically. In my words, if I was Hera, that's how I would have put it. But seemingly, hopefully I'm sure we'll get more next episode, but it was all in vain. The Eye of Sion took off anyway, and she ended up losing a couple pilots in probably one of the coolest scenes ever. Like, you guys really thought y'all were going to sit there and block a donut from coming right past you. All right. Yeah, that was very smart, guys. I see why you guys, the Republic didn't make it. But that wasn't the observation. The observation is, although this is the greatest fighter pilot in the galaxy, at least here and now, somebody needs to report her to Child Services. She about to take Jason into a battle with these HK-47 assassin droids and some dark Jedi and some evil witches trying to go stop Thrawn, and she's got the youngling with her.
It's not very good mothering.
It's kind of bad mama.
Not ideal, but I mean, still, she's a very good mom. She's always been a mom, and that's her role, first and foremost, in like Rebels in the show. She's the mother. Life. Yeah, she's the mother in this, and like at the same time, you got me thinking now. Like, she's a general now. She's got responsibility. She has her son and everything now, and I'm wondering, how is this going to really affect the dynamic now? Because Sabine's gone. Like, out of everybody in the Rebel show, it's now like just Hera and Zeb.
Yeah, you know, and they're not even together at the moment because we haven't seen Zeb. We saw Carson Teva, who we saw with Zeb in The Mandalorian, but no Zeb. If Zeb was there, he would have either A, figured out how to stop that ship, or B, told them all to get the hell out of the way.
Yep.
But
He would
Zeb
if
is
he
my
would have
dog.
mentioned something.
Zeb
Zeb
would have
is
been
a
like, "What the hell are we doing here?"
Zeb is a funny character, but he definitely has wisdom when it comes to battles and tactics.
Zeb got that old
And
man knowledge.
he does. And like, oh man, I'm just kind of feeling it now. I'm like, wow, Kanan's dead. Ezra's gone. Sabine's missing. It's just Hera and Zeb left and Ahsoka. And now Ahsoka, for all intents and purposes to everyone else in the rest of the galaxy,
And
is
don't
dead.
forget the murderous droid Chopper.
Oh yeah, don't forget that
Chopper got
psychopath.
bodies.
Oh dude, that's a
Chopper got
war vet.
bodies.
He
Chopper
he
got
started
bodies.
out. Yeah, he oh man, he's got the highest probably kill count because he was, he's a vet of the Clone Wars. He's about as much of a veteran as Rex is.
Yeah, yeah. If he was there, he would have helped Hu Yang out. He would have had a torch. He would have shot a flamethrower right out his belly or something, or
Oh yeah,
electrocuted them, fried their circuits or something.
A classic Chopper move. He would have flown in the air and spun his head around with his arms and slapped him like 15 times. Like
Yeah.
that's something he has done.
I
But
would. That's something else I would like to see. I would like to see a chopper fight scene.
oh yeah, oh it's gonna come. Like it has to. Like he has to fill that kind of R2D2 role that everyone loves.
Well,
Where
hey, we got a trilogy of movies that was announced during this timeline, so hopefully the gang will be together for that, fighting Thrawn once again.
I'm
Um,
yeah. With Hera, I don't know. I think her job and what we're gonna see is like we're probably not gonna see a whole lot of her. Well, you know what? I take that back. There's only two ways it's gonna go. Either we're not gonna see a whole lot of her from now on, or she's gonna go with Ahsoka, use the ghost, and it's gonna be taken by the Purgle to take them to the galaxy that they all just jumped to.
I
Like,
definitely think we'll see her again because I think that we have to see. She's gonna have another uh, council meeting or something. She's got to deal with repercussions
maybe.
for leaving,
Yeah.
or convince them to act. There has to be
Well,
another meeting with the council, though.
well, it's more time of the essence more than ever now because now the bad guys are ahead.
Yeah,
And
war is inevitable
so
now.
so I see it happening one of two ways. So on one hand, I see Hera going back, reporting in, being held accountable, but she's going to be like, "Look, guys, y'all messed up. You should have listened to me. This is happening now. They are wherever Thrawn is, and they are going to bring them back. Right now, we need to focus on what we need to do in order to stop it when it gets here, because that's where we're at now." Or on the other hand, Ahsoka and Hera meet up. They talk, they discuss, they figure out a plan how to get there. Hera tells Carson, like, hey, you need to convey all this information back to the fleet. We're going after them. And they're going to be like, well, how are you going to do that? And I think they're going to commune with the Purgle. I think the Purgle are going to grab the Ghost, the ship, and Hera, her son, Chopper, and Ahsoka are all going to go and jump and go after them because I don't think they're going to waste a moment. They're going to get there as soon as they can. And if there was a moment or time that Zeb could join them, it's going to be somewhere in there. That
Let's
would be really cool.
go. Let's go. I know he expensive, so at least give me some season finales there. Um, but while I mention the council, I don't want to forget. Shout out to New Rockstars, another show that I watch, and I mentioned yesterday. Obviously, it didn't work out, but they got a 4 episode breakdown of Rebels, one for each season. So if you haven't seen Rebels, that's a good way to get caught up. But aside from that, and watching the show, I heard them mention this fun fact that the guy in the council, and I'm forgetting his name, but I'm sure nobody liked him. The one that was basically telling Hera, like, let's hurry this thing up. You're not getting what you want.
Ziano.
That's the
Ziano.
father of the kid from Star Wars Resistance, the cartoons, the main character.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his name. also, because that was a show that nobody really liked.
Nobody cares about it. Wherever you
But it was a
stand on
fun
the
fact.
fandom, yeah, wherever you stand on the fandom, nobody watched it. I don't even think kids watched it. They preferred Rebels and like the animated clone series. So like,
I,
can't really
I I
blame them.
tried to watch it. I hoped at the time that I was thinking like, okay, maybe this is gonna connect us. They're gonna show us how the First Order came about, but no, no, not even
You know,
close. But yeah, it was
sorry,
bad.
it was weak. Yeah,
It
like
was. It definitely
they
was.
they
Um, if you were a fan of Star Wars Resistance, let us know. Matter of fact, if you hated Star Wars Resistance, drop a like. If you liked Star Wars Resistance,
or
drop a
comment
like.
and or comment and just unleash on me.
Everybody
I
drop a
will
like.
just make a
Yeah.
comment if you really disagree with my opinion and let me have it. I'm ready. I'm
Yeah,
willing
yeah,
to die on. I'll
yeah.
die
Do
on
that.
this. So
Do that. Do at Sue. Um,
yeah.
but okay. So before we wrap this thing up, I got two more real quick. One, with episode 5 coming up, what are you expecting or looking forward to in next week's episode?
Well, I find when it comes to Dave Filoni and when he makes stuff, it's gold. By the way, guys, in the chat or comments, if you are a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Dave Filoni is the man who wrote the entire story for that. That was all him. So he's really good at putting stories together. He did the entire animated Clone Wars. He did all of Rebels. So here's the thing that I have learned from that many years of watching Dave Filoni stuff. If there's one thing, you will not be able to predict what's going to happen. So just go ahead. And what I do is I just remove, I don't expect anything. I don't know what to expect, therefore I can't. But I can try and predict what's going to go. And one of the things that Dave Filoni has done is like the story is here. You want to get here to the next episode, right? Well, sometimes the story would jump from here back a little to somewhere else when something was going on, and then it'll jump forward ahead of the episode you wanted to follow up right here, and then it comes back to this and then continues. And I'm thinking that's a very likely thing we're going to have. To all the anime fans out there, you know what I mean when I say it. We'll probably get a filler episode in this next one, so be expected. Don't get your hopes up too high, and in case you are used to getting let down and you hate that, just be aware of that. I'm thinking we have three different scenarios. Either it's just going to get right back into it and they're going to figure out how to get there, or it's going to get back into Hera and Hera goes back to the fleet and then we're all focused on her for an episode. Or the possible third option is we don't see either parties and we just focus entirely on Balin, Morgan Elsbeth, and Sabine and where they come out at and in this new galaxy and what happens then. Is like Sabine along for the ride, or is she going to be already planning her escape and such? And then that
Okay,
just
so
leads me down the road to where like I'm starting to think about Ezra now, and I have a very unique way of thinking about Ezra in this situation of what I kind of hope to see from him.
okay, all right. Um, what I'm hoping for, um, dare I even say, I'm low key kind of expecting. I may or may not be wrong. You know, I'm a big sports fan, so it's kind of like just predicting the winners of games. Who really ever knows? You know, we could just go based off of what we've seen and try to piece things together and see if we were right. So I think that we're going to get a big. For starters, we get Anakin and Ahsoka. Um, we're gonna get a
Oh,
lot of that in the world between worlds. But I also think he's gonna. I know you say you. I know you don't think that that's Anakin. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that he's going to get back to the mentor role. He's going to be apologetic for his slide and try to help her become a better
Master, yeah.
master to Sabine.
I think
She will be able to use toward the end of the season to help that relationship work out.
first off, I forgot to thank you for bringing me onto this. Thank you
Thank you
for
for
bringing me
coming.
here. And this is why I love talking to you, because you think in lateral ways that I like totally feel fun. I feel like stupid. I'm like, oh, how did I miss that? And like you had the thought there of like, I totally am missing one of the biggest things that happened in there, and that was the ending, Ahsoka and Anakin. And I'm so focused on everything else, but you're right. Maybe that will be the filler episode as well. Maybe it'll just focus
That's
on them
that's a
entirely.
filler we've all been waiting for. I don't think no one would complain if we had an episode full of just Anakin and Ahsoka.
Oh
I'm
no.
here for it. I'll take it, even if it's no action and they just talking in the world between worlds, just walking la da 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 da. It might be kind of boring, but it's Anakin and Ahsoka live action. Do y'all
And you know,
understand what this is?
it's
Something we
pretty
never thought we would get.
it's a big BFD, man. It's a big fucking deal. And
Absolutely,
like
yes.
you made a great point. Maybe she's going to be getting some lessons from her old master that she needs in order to learn how to be the teacher. Because one thing a lot of people may know, if you haven't watched the Clone Wars animated series or Rebels, she left the Jedi Order before the end of the war, and she left as a Padawan. She never became a Jedi Knight or a Master. So, like, she is incredibly wise, and she is really good at what she does because she was trained by the best Jedi in the Jedi Order, which is why she seems so capable. But we're seeing those fallacies kind of come out where, like, she doesn't know how to teach, and she's trying to
And
teach a
not only
Mandalorian.
that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but she also has a lot of blame. She blames herself for leaving Anakin and him turning to the dark side. Um, he's got to have a conversation with her. Hey, look, I was gonna go with or without you. This wasn't about you. This was me and Padme. She needs that to free up herself, which will also help her be a better master in the long run.
Yep. Like in the Obi-Wan show, Obi-Wan more or less kind of got the forgiveness and got rid of the guilt that he was holding on to when Vader like was put away for a second, and Anakin kind of came back out, and he's like, "I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't destroy Anakin Skywalker. I did."
Yep.
And I'm like, wow, that still makes me tear up and get goosebumps because I'm like, that's pretty impactful because like it was from that point on, if you notice, that's when Obi-Wan only calls him Dom.
Yeah.
And that's more heart wrenching because here's the thing. That's something like one of the like things Obi-Wan does. He's a lot of people like to joke inside certain circles of Star Wars that like Master Obi-Wan, the master of sass, because he's kind of sassy with his comments and everything. Hello there, and then
Hello
like
there.
and like he never like, especially when he was facing against people that he knows that like he's got the upper hand on, like with Ventress or Maul, he always addressed them by a different name, never by a title. Like he always called Maul Maul, not Lord Maul, not Darth Maul, Maul. And then with Vader, he calls him Dom. Like he recognizes him and respects him, but also is heartbroken by it
Yeah. Yeah.
because his brother is truly dead.
He is. Amazing storytelling. Um, and last but not least, before we wrap it up, um, with this show, plus the addition of the announced Thrawn trilogies,
Mm-hmm.
um, well, trilogy. I'm sorry, I said, and don't put no S on there. Do you expect? I know where this is going because we went through this yesterday. But do
All
you
right.
expect for the sequels to connect at some point, to eventually connect, to then put the puzzle pieces together with these?
Okay, so I got my own feelings about the sequel trilogy. which I'm
Oh
more
yeah.
than happy to get into at a different time because that's a lengthy one. Um, I would not write it out. I mean, it's equally possible. We're going to unknown, completely new, uncharted territory in Star Wars, and like what a lot of people are thinking, as well as I, is like I'm thinking this is kind of a reset of the Star Wars series now because they're going to a whole nother galaxy. There's the world between worlds being activated. Like things are going to probably be inherently, without people really noticing it that it's happening, is that they're going to be so dazzled and bamboozled and focused on all the pretty stuff happening here, but while everything's going on, things are going to slowly get retconned or phased out. And I think what's happening is like they are probing right now to see how people react and feel about certain things. If this show really does really well, I think the sequel, like movies about Ray or anything else that comes out later, aren't really going to happen because even though Star Wars is under Disney's ownership, one thing that has remained completely the same, even whether it was George Lucas or Disney, is that they cancel a lot of projects all the time, and that just happens. And I'm thinking, I am on the side of I don't think it's going to happen, to put it short in an answer, because I think it's very possible that if this show does well and people like the story and it's going to change things that Disney has inherently screwed up on, that has caused a lot of divisiveness. Um, this is the way that it's
That
going to
is
be
true.
reset. And
This
if
is the
it
way.
resets it in a good way, then they're going to be like, oh, surprise, that Ray movie isn't going to happen. Sorry. Or there's always still the possibility it could. And if it did, I would hope that Ray is part of Luke's Jedi Academy at that time. And she maybe is like the successor as the Grand Master of the Jedi Academy when he's gone. And it takes place when he's already passed, which I think would be a much more fitting role for Ray because then it would give us some more, relatability with her at that. Like she didn't just come out like being inherently powerful and awesome and like perfect in every way without making a mistake. Because whether you like her or not and you don't like what I say, you cannot deny that's not true. She did not make a mistake, and that makes it very hard to relate to her. And she was just powerful from the get go. I mean, Luke was very powerful. He made lots of mistakes. He had to train up to get better. We saw that, and then he eventually became the Grand Master of the Jedi, which was later. You don't see that in the movies, but he does restart the Jedi Order. The Jedi Academy, and he does it on Yavin.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Ray went to um Super Saiyan, for lack of a better term, pretty
Yeah,
quickly. Um, yeah.
but don't get me wrong. I have nothing against Ray, nor the actor. It's just that I think writers and directors did her very wrong. They could have made her a
Her
lot
role,
more.
her performance was great. Daisy
I think
Ridley
she,
is
I
really
think
good.
she did it. I think she did a great job. If they had like, except for one thing, I will say is that maybe she can have more than maybe four expressions. Like, just saying, like, there's happy, there's focused, there's sad, and then there's angry. Those are the only four you see of her, and like, there's no real complexity or depth to it. But
She
they could have
did grow
done,
up
but
in sand.
I mean, and the thing is too, is that she was supposed to be the new one that is supposed to take over and be different, right? Well, if you don't want it any way to be relating to the past, don't build it based on past things. Make her entirely new, make her entirely different. And one of those things you could have done is that she needed training, obviously, because she swings
Yeah.
the lightsaber around like it's a baseball bat. And one thing I noticed, and I think they did a disservice to her for, is she was much better with her staff than she ever was with the lightsaber. So when that lightsaber got destroyed in The Last Jedi, when she repaired it, it should have been a double bladed lightsaber. It would have been so much cooler. It would
100%.
have made her unique. It would have made her different. And it would have shown that she's
100%.
forging her own path. She's going away from everyone else in that regard.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
100%. I agree.
because like Ahsoka is like the same way in that regard, and she has two separate lightsabers. Tell me somebody who does that. Name one other person that's doing that.
The only one with two separate lightsabers is Ahsoka, but
And like
you give Ray a double bladed so she can work it like a bow staff. Let's go.
it would have
We
that
haven't
would have
seen
been so much cooler. It would have made her more unique. It would have made her iconic and a bit relatable. She's like, look, I obviously can't swing a lightsaber like everyone else does, but I have mastered this staff over the years and learned how to survive and protect myself with it. Double bladed lightsaber. That's just one little thing I think they could have done that would have made her a lot cooler. And it's like, yeah, yeah, you take that and you make it your own. Good job, because there's only one other Jedi you see, and he was in the animation, and
Didn't
that was
Kylo
Pong
do it?
Krell.
Kylo had a double blade, didn't he?
No,
Who did we?
he had a
Somebody had a.
crossguard.
No, I'm thinking about the first time we saw Maul.
There's only a
The
few
first time
times.
we saw Maul in the movie, episode one, didn't he go?
Yeah.
He have it and open it up from both sides.
Yep. Yep. So that's the first time you see it for a lot of people, unless you played games or know the comics and books and stuff like that. First time you see it there. Then the next time you would really see it in a watching would be Pong Krell from the animated Clone Wars, where all the clone troopers in the 501st and Rex were on Umbara, and that was like their Vietnam. And that dude was going to the dark side, and nobody knew it. He was just, sending the clones to die, just because he was more trying to tilt things towards the dark side as a way to show favor and curry favor to the eventual Sith master, because he was having visions of what was going to happen at the end of the war. So he's the first Jedi you see with a double bladed lightsaber in any kind of sitting. The only next one that would happen is the temple guards, the sentinels, the Jedi sentinels that wear the mask. What the Grand Inquisitor was before he was the Grand Inquisitor. He was a Jedi temple sentinel, a guardian, and they had double lightsabers. So it's a rare thing, and it's not unique only to Sith. So like, I think it would have been cool to oh, how cool would it have been to actually see a live action Jedi with a double bladed lightsaber?
Yeah, that would have
And
been. That would have been.
but
Sick.
like, yeah, that was a lengthy explanation, but that was just like one little detail you could have done that would have made Rey more relatable and cooler, and it would have made her more unique instead of just making her unique by like, oh, she's just super powerful and she's related to the Emperor. I'm like, I can't really relate to that. I don't know what it's like to feel super powerful and
Somehow
born into
Palpatine
it,
returned.
and I don't know what it's like to be related to the most evil man ever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's gotta suck. And just real quick, we're gonna wrap it up, but I just wanted to touch on it real quick because you have made a nice point, and we'll get into it next week. But I want to bring it up just in case we see it in next week's episode before we get a chance to talk about it. But you actually think there's a possibility that Ezra and Thrawn are working together in this unknown galaxy?
Yes.
Get on that real quick.
Okay, so to make it more brief and short, so like, hey guys, if you got questions on it, hit the man JJ right there, or put me in the comments at Stewie. So here's the thing: Thrawn is not evil. Like, that thing is, he's cold, he's calculated, he comes off very machine-like, without remorse, without conscious. The thing is that Thrawn has a goal. It's just nobody really knows it. The reason he serves the Emperor was because he was found after he'd been banished from his world. And on his world, he was a very great tactician. He was charged with the security and the protection of his planet. Well, he went against orders and went on the offensive when he saw an opportunity, because where he comes from is called the Chiss Ascendancy, and that's a species, Chiss. Now, they live like right on the edge of the known galaxy. So like, there's a reason you don't see his people ever because they're not around. They're so far away. They keep to themselves. And they always, for thousands of years, have gotten attacked by this enemy from out of nowhere that they call the Grisk. The Grisk are a very extremely hard enemy to fight, and I'll explain what they are here in a second. But they had to learn how to be more cold, calculated. They had to learn to advance and pretty much get rid of emotion, get out of the way. Hence why Thrawn is the way he is. He joins the Empire because he wants to help the Empire get stronger, so that way the galaxy is no more of a threat and not an easy target to be invaded. Because he believes that all the Brits that had attacked his planet is only attacking them, but they're only attacking them in like what is scouting parties. So wherever Ezra and Thrawn ended up jumping to at the end of Rebels, I believe they are where the Grisk are from. And then they're going to learn that they're not called Grisk, but they're going to be called the Ancient Enemy, which is from Legends, the Yuuzhan Vong. And the Yuuzhan Vong are mean guys. They're mean. Yeah. They grow their armor, their weapons, everything that they use is a live, organic thing. Their ships, some of the ships they have are the size of planets. And they can destroy planets, and they're immune to the Force. Lightsabers don't work against them. Blasters don't work against them. So it's like, how in the world are you going to fight an enemy like that? That sounds like a huge threat. And with the Empire now gone, and without Thrawn there, the galaxy is a big old target right for the picking. And if Ezra and Thrawn have gone there, I'm pretty sure they would be working together, and Ezra would have a change of heart of like, holy crap, I did not know such a threat existed. And Thrawn would be like, this is what I've been working towards. This is what I've been trying to prepare us to fight against. Because he's banished from his homeworld, but he still has loyalty to it. Thus, why he works for the Empire. He doesn't care to serve the Emperor. He respects the Emperor a lot. Because the Emperor is very smart and very calculated, and Thrawn knows it. So I'm thinking there's a good chance that
I like the theory.
Ezra and Thrawn, in at least their formative years, when they were there, they probably had to work together to survive.
I like the theory. Maybe that's the greater good that Balin is talking about.
And I think that's what it is too. I mean, I think Balin also has intentions to restart the Jedi Order, but he wants to do it right, in his eyes.
Interesting.
But it also could be like, hey, we need to go there and take the fight to the Vong, or we need to bring Thrawn back because he's the only capable tactician that could put everything together and actually form a defense against them. Because right now the galaxy is like an exposed target. But who knows? I mean, I hope if we see Ezra and Thrawn, it would be cool to see that they had been working together to survive. Or if they aren't, which most likely is a thing that could happen too, I hope Ezra is. I think Ezra's going to be a lot wiser because by the end of Rebels, he seemed to be learning how to give himself completely to the Force and trust in it, and he just became extremely wise. Like he didn't know everything that was going to happen. He just knew things were going to happen, and it was going to lead him down the path that he needed to go, and he trusted in it, and that's what happened. So I think what is a possibility, and you had me thinking with some of your questions. So Ahsoka is going to learn how to train Sabine. Sabine's going to see Ezra. She's going to try and give him his lightsaber back. He's going to be like, it's not mine anymore. It's yours. And she's going to be like, well, can you teach me? And he's going to be like, I'm not your master. I can't teach you. You are the person you need to be with. I didn't have anyone. I had Kanan because the Force guided him to me. And but I think Ezra, will meet Jaden, his master's son, Jason, and he will train him.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
I think he's going to train him. Like he's going to meet him. He's going to feel, heart twinge, cry a little. I'm going to cry a little. And he's going to be like, your father was my master, and I'll teach you like he taught me.
That'll be such poetic justice.
I think
adjacent is the future.
I think that's very much a likely thing that's going to happen. Maybe I'm ruining things for people right now. I'm a long game kind of guy, and
Well, we did say spoiler warning.
I think, but I think Sabine's gonna want is gonna be happy to see Ezra. I think she's gonna want Ezra to train her, and Ezra's gonna be like, no, and she's like, well, here, this belongs to you, and he's gonna be like, no, it's not mine anymore, it's yours. And then when he meets
Nice.
Jason, he's gonna be happy. He's gonna see him, and then he's gonna be like looking at Hera, and he's gonna be like, I guess I'm gonna train him, which would make sense because remember,
Poetic, poetic
one
justice.
master, one apprentice, one master, one apprentice. And I think he's going
Yes,
to be a very wise man when we see him. Like he's going to have a like he's going to be a man, like he's been surviving on his own and who knows where. So it's going to be like that kind of thing of like from 300 where they leave you out in the wilderness to survive like a man, you come back changed. Like you're bolder, you're more stoic, you're more wise in your decisions.
absolutely, absolutely. Hey, I dig it, ladies and gentlemen. If you got some other theories, or if you like our theories, man, let us know in the comments. Tell us if you dug it, if you like the show, if there's something that you want to see or you want to ask about. Let us know. Your voices will be heard. And if you're still with us, please, 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 I can't stress it enough. Your likes matter. This show is free to you, but those likes mean the world to us. So please, like, share, subscribe, and hop in those comments and talk to your boys. We appreciate you. We thank you. My dog Stu, man, I appreciate you, man. You and your knowledge, you bring a lot to the table, my friend. You bring a lot to the table.
Stop it. I'm going to get an ego.
Well,
No,
ladies and
thank
gentlemen,
you.
oh man, anytime, anytime, I appreciate it. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, man, from us here, Street Geeks, man, we appreciate it, and we will holla at y'all next week. Keep it nerdy.